Today's theme, you won't be surprised to learn that it's this week, in fact, is going to be based on the equinox. So we've just had the spring equinox, marking the start of spring, and this particular sequence is very much connected to that. So starting with your feet hip width apart, as we often do, just lift and roll your shoulders. And then breathing in, raising your hands up, touch your palms, and bring back down through to the center. Staying here as you take an in and an out breath. And then you have the invitation when we're doing this. I tend not to use mantra, but in the spring equinox series, there is an option to use a mantra, and that's when you're exhaling, is to mentally chant, although in some classes you audibly chant, ma, aham, aham. It's a sort of thanks for everything, but it's optional. So I might start that, and then you can think about it or not use it mentally as you want to. So just pressing your feet into the ground, breathing in, raising your hands up to touch, palms touch. And as you breathe out, I'm going to say ma, aham, aham. It just slows down the movement. So breathing in, raising your hands up to touch. Breathing out, ma, aham, aham. Breathing in, hands up. Press your feet down, palms touch at the top. Breathing out, mentally, ma, aham, aham. Again, breathing in, hands up. A complete circle, touching at the top, stretching up. Ma, aham, aham. And then I'm going to turn to the side and step forward your right foot a little bit out towards the edge of the mat, if that's going to help with your balance. Your back left foot is at an angle of about 45 degrees. So breathing in, raising your hands up, touching your palms as we did before, and then breathing out, tummy comes in as you bend your front your right knee softly, ma, aham, aham, as your hands touch either the floor or your shins. Breathing in, press your feet down to help you come up. Hands up. Touch your palms. Breathing out, tummy in, perineum engages. Lengthen along your spine. Ma, aham, aham. You'll naturally bend your front knee. Press your feet into the earth to support you coming up. That's quite a strong lift. Hands up. Tummy in, ma, aham, aham. So classically, press your feet into the ground, coming up. As you come forward, you would lengthen from the tailbone to the top of the head, and then come forward. So you would lengthen, ma, aham, and then come forward, aham. Press your feet down, lifting up, and then breathing out, lower your hands alongside you. And step your right foot back. Just lift and roll your shoulders once more. And step forward your left foot. You might like to have it out towards the edge of the mat to support you balance-wise. And your back right foot slightly out at an angle of about 45 degrees. Breathing in, raising your hands up, your palms touch. almost going to a slight back bend, and then breathing out as you engage your lower abdominal muscles, bending your front left knee. Ma, ahum, ahum. Your hands either touch the floor or touch your shin, depending which is more comfortable, pressing your feet into the ground as you raise yourself up, touching the palms. You start the breath out, then make the movement. Ma, ahum, ahum. You finish the movement and then finish the breath. Press your feet down, stretching up. Ma, ahum, ahum. And this next one will be the last one. Ma, ahum, ahum. Pressing your feet down, rolling up. Stretch your fingers, lower your arms and step your left foot back. Lift and roll your shoulders. Just swaying from side to side a few times. And then slow the swaying down. And then come to circle your hands up, stretch up, breathing out, bending your knees, bending your hands to touch either the floor or your shins. Pressing your feet down as you roll up to standing, hands up, stretch, breathing out, bending your elbows, bending your knees. Coming down, hands touch the floor or your shins, pressing your feet down as you inhale up. Breathing out, roll down. Breathing in, roll up. And breathing out, roll down. Roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Lift and roll your shoulders. Breathing in, raise the right arm up, stretch up. Breathing out, turn your head to the left, away from your right arm. Inhale back to the center, and breathing out, lower your right arm. And breathing in as you raise your left arm, turn the palm inwards to face your ear. Breathing out, turn your head to the right. Breathing in, bring your head back to center. And breathing out, lower your hands. Bring your hands to prayer as you come to kneeling up. If you've got dodgy knees or you want to take a cushion or a blanket to kneel up, then please do so. Your knees are hip width apart, and kneeling up, I'm going to have my feet flat, but the invitation is also to have your feet tucked underneath. So breathing in, raising your hands up, just stretch your fingers. Breathing out, round your back. Chin goes to chest. And then come to cat, dipping your back. And then rounding your back. Bring your fingers or slide them towards your knees as you kneel up. Stretching your hands up. Breathing out, rounding your back. Your chin comes to your chest. Hands come to the ground. Dip your back in cat. Round your back in cow, chin comes to the chest as you slide your hands towards your knees as you kneel up. Stretching your hands up and breathing out, rounding. Chin comes to chest, palms come to the ground. Dip your back in cat, and then round your back, chin to chest. And this time, instead of coming up, just tuck your toes, tummy in, and we're going to come to a very soft dog. Lengthen your spine from your head to your tailbone, bottom up, and then begin to straighten your legs. You can widen your feet. Your heels don't have to touch the ground, of course, and you can then walk the dog by extending one foot to the ground, one heel towards the ground, and then the other one, so walking the dog. Your hips may sway from side to side. Bend both knees, lengthen the spine, extend both legs, and then bend both knees to the ground. Come to sit to one side, and then come to place your legs out in front of you. And lift the flesh out from under your bottom. Hands are in Dandasana, so in that case your fingers are pointing forward, but do be more relaxed to just support your weight lightly. And then just bounce your legs. And then start to circle your ankles in one direction. And then start to circle your ankles in the other direction. And then toes up to the ceiling and point your toes away from you. Again, toes up to the ceiling and then point them away. And toes up and then toes point them away. So take your hands and either rub your legs or pat your legs or do a combination of both just to wake up the body. You don't have to stop at your legs and your thighs. You can go a little bit further up if you want to. It's just waking the body up, creating a vibration which is the precursor to movement. So it's an anti-stagnation movement. And then bend your right knee up. Your right sole of the foot is aiming towards your left inside leg. Your knee doesn't have to go to the ground. You can have a cushion underneath to support you. Just sitting up by lengthening up your hands either side of your hips. Extend your toes, your left foot upwards. And then breathing in. Palms together, turn your body towards the left leg and then bending. I'm going to bend my elbows, but you can come straight down to slide your hands down your shins. Just take a couple of breaths. As you breathe in, lengthen them from the tailbone to the top of the head and breathe out, just soften and round forward. Breathing in, lifting up your head, lengthening along the tailbone and then breathing out, waving down. And you might find that as you breathe in, lengthening and then come forward, that you're getting more space. And if that's the case, you can either hold your big toe, you can hold either side of your foot, you can hold your ankle, you can hold with your right hand the outside of your left foot, and your left hand goes behind your left hip. So that you're looking behind your left hand. You won't see your left hand, but towards that direction. But whatever's good for you. And now finally you just relax forward completely. This forward bend starts to calm the nervous system. It's a hip opener for the immune system at the lower groin area, the lower hips area, and it's a rotation, so it's realigning the spine. It's head to knee pose, and the Sanskrit name for that is Janu Sirsasana, Janu being knee, and Sirsasana is the head, and the asana bit is the name for the yogic pose, Janu Sirsasana. And then very gently walk your hands up your left leg. Your right hand goes behind your right hip and just raise your left hand up, looking at your left thumb, taking it in and an out breath. And breathing out, lower your left hand. Hug your right knee in towards you, sitting up, lengthening your spine, and then straighten your right leg out. Just bounce your knees, your legs a couple of times. And then bend your left knee, opening your left knee out to the left, and your left sole of your foot is aiming towards the inside of your right leg. You extend your right heel, which activates the inside of your right thigh. Just lengthen your spine by touching lightly your hands either side of you. And then breathing in, raise your hands up, palms together. You might like to might prefer to hold your thumbs, whichever. Turn towards your right outstretched leg, and then however you want to, either coming straight down or bending your elbows, to slide your hands down your right shin. And breathing in and breathing out. Lengthen your spine as you breathe in, from the tailbone to the top of the head. And as you breathe out, just round forward. And again, each time you breathe in, you might find that you create a little bit more space to come further forward. And the option is to slide your hands further down your right leg, or turning towards the right. You can hold your right big toe, you can hold either side of your right foot, or you can hold the outside of your right foot with your left hand, and your right hand goes behind you, looking, extending your neck and looking behind, almost over your right shoulder, towards your right hand, which will be out of sight. That deep stretch, if you are there, stretches a muscle, if I can remember it correctly, it's called the quadratus lumborum. It's very implicated in stiffening up as we get older. And this stretches that from the base of the hips up on the outside of the left, almost towards the left ribs, from the base of the hips. And then breathing out, just sliding your hands up. Place your left hand behind you, behind your left hip, and raise your right hand up, looking at your right thumb. That disconnects the mind from the stress centers of the brain. And then very gently lower your right hand. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. And then stretch your left leg out. And we're going to come to lying on the mat. Starting, it's not Shavasana, but it's a Shavasana, almost like corpse pose. We haven't come to rest quite yet. But stretching the legs out along the ground. Extend your right heel and then relax it. Extend your left heel and then relax. Almost as if you're walking, extend your right heel and feel the space being created in your hip socket, your right hip socket, and release. Extend your left heel and release. Just circle your ankles once more in one direction. Imagine going around a clock with your big toe. Be careful not to stretch too much or give yourself cramp. And just notice the parts where you skip over your movement. And then reverse your circle. If you really wanted to put perspective on that, you would aim to touch your big toes together as they meet in the middle of your circle inwards. But that's quite a big stretch. But it's just a nod to the circular movement. And then just relax your feet and turn your head to the right And stay here as you take an in and an out breath. Bring your head back to centre, and then very gently move your head, almost rolling it, but it is a controlled movement over towards the left. Your focus can be up, it can be along the floor, or it can be eyes open or closed. Taking an in and an out breath here. And then bringing your head back to centre. Breathing in, extend your right heel and raise your right arm above you. So your elbow can be bent before it stretches out, and just stretch the right side. Breathing out, lower your right arm and just relax your right leg. And then as you extend your left heel, raise your left arm upwards and stretch your left side. And then breathing out, release, lowering your left arm and relaxing your left heel. And now extend both heels, raise both arms. You can hook your thumbs together as you raise your arms upwards. Chin naturally tends to come in towards the chest. And then just move to the left. Take an in and an out breath here. Come to the centre, stretching up and away from you. Your arms stretch away from you, and then go to the left, stretching out. Go to the right, stretching out your left side. And then come back to the centre. Stretching your heels away from you, your hands away from you, and then breathing out, lower your arms, hug one knee and then hug the other knee into the chest. Just separate the knees a little bit, form a V, and then circle the knees, holding both knees in one direction. This is giving flexibility to the hips by moving the leg in the hip socket. And then very gently reverse your circle, moving the knees in the opposite direction. And then hug both knees into the chest. And then stretch the soles of the feet up to the ceiling, extending the heels as you raise your arms above you, stretching back. Breathing out, bend your elbows, bend your knees, and hug your knees back into your chest. And just rock, holding the knees gently from side to side. Supporting your left leg if you need to while you place your left foot on the floor. Hug in the right knee with the right hand and let the right knee drop out to the right. Place your left hand on your left hip bone and your left foot is on the ground, your left knee is up to the ceiling. Just make some circles. They can be bigger than the little circles. As you circle the right knee in one direction, making wider circles. It's an asymmetrical movement on one leg at a time. And you'll get a greater movement within the hip socket. And then reverse the circle on the right knee, holding the right hand, holding the right knee. Just reverse the circle. And then hug the right knee into the chest. And supporting the right knee if you need to, place the right foot back onto the ground. Hands either on the abdomen or hands palms down as you just sway both knees gently from side to side. So this is starting to come into the somatic movement that we've mentioned before. It's an anti-aging movement. Your hips can lift off the ground. Your head can turn optionally in the opposite direction away from the direction of the knees. You're massaging across your top of your bottom, the lower part of your back. And you're exercising, or you're moving very safely your hips at the base of the spine and your lower back, but also the neck at the top of the spine, if you choose to turn your head from side to side. And the spine is being supported by the ground, so this makes it a very, very safe and supportive movement, which happens to be wonderful for anti-aging, because it's at the joints where we can contract, where we don't use our joints to their full motion. So just side to side. And then keeping your right foot where it is, or maybe you want to bring your right foot slightly closer to you. Hug your left knee into your chest with your holding it with your left hand, and place your right hand palm down on your right hip bone. Let your left knee drop out to the side. And again here, make circles with your left knee, moving the knee gently in one direction. And then very gently circling your left knee in the other direction. And then hug the left knee into the chest and hug the right knee into the chest, both knees into the chest. Just once more rocking from side to side. So touching once more on the somatic movement, which emphasises fluidity of movement, just drop your hands behind the backs of your thighs. I like to clasp my fingers together for greater support, but it's entirely up to you. And just very gently raise the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. The legs don't have to be straight, the feet don't have to be pointed, they're just relaxed. And just gently sway slightly from side to side. The range of movement or motion isn't very great, but it's a seaweed action. Just again, it becomes an inversion. It's quite gentle, and as I said, the knees can remain very soft. So any kind of inversion is very helpful to rebalance our hormonal system or endocrine system. And if you wanted to do this a little bit for longer, you could always have your legs up a wall or over a chair. But this is just a gentle swaying from side to side. And perhaps experiment, you might feel happier to hold the backs of your thighs, separating your hands. Or you might prefer to bring your hands to the inside of your thighs, just rocking from side to side. So we're all different. And then bend both knees into the chest, hugging the knees into the chest, and slide your hands down to hold above your ankles or on your ankles. So this becomes a kind of supine Baddha Konasana. The big toes don't touch, but they're vaguely aiming towards each other. And you can stay static or again rock minusculely. The side to side rocking here will be literally millimeters, just subtly keeping that oscillating movement. And you can finish by holding under the soles of your feet into Happy Baby. So both knees are aiming to the ground, and just gently rock from side to side. You can engage your tummy, your lower abdominal muscles here, and that will naturally contract your perineum slightly, so it will activate or engage the core muscles. In doing that, your backbone will minusculely, the tailbone will lengthen slightly towards the floor, but that's an option. It's not compulsory. Just check that your chin hasn't floated upwards, that the back of the neck is still long. And then releasing by hugging both knees into the chest again. Hug both knees into the chest. Still holding them, let both knees travel away from you to arm's length. Hug both knees into the chest. Let both knees travel away from you to arm's length. Hug both knees into the chest. Let both knees travel away. Again, in your own time, hugging the knees into the chest and let both knees travel away. It's a way of just very gently massaging up and down your lower back, around the L4, L5 areas, but the area in the lower back where we tend to get a lot of stress and strain. It's the parts that move when we bend and twist and turn. So again, this is a very gentle way to almost pulse the back, putting pressure of our own body weight and just releasing to let the blood flow through. The chin naturally tends to come in towards the chest, not a lot, but it's just a natural. Your chin tends not to float up, so you're beginning to activate on the vagus nerve for anti-inflammation. It's a very calming set of movements to make. And then last time, hugging the knees into the chest, letting both feet, you might like to support them under the thighs, come down to the ground. Your knees are hip width apart, up to the ceiling, your feet are hip width apart. And just hands palms down to make a couple of pelvic tilts, so flattening your back as if you're going to lift your bottom, and then releasing so that there's a gap underneath your lower back. Again, flattening your back as if you're going to lift your bottom and releasing. And just a couple more times just to make that pelvic tilt movement. And then actually pressing your hands into the ground, pressing into your feet as you breathe in, lift up your bottom and start to lift your elbows, lift your hands up behind you into what I call a rolling bridge, chin to chest. Once you're up here, you lift as little or as much as you'd like. Start to breathe out. And you'll find that as you start to breathe out and lower your bottom back down to the ground, your arms will naturally follow that movement. Hug both knees into the chest. Soles of the feet to the ceiling in a V. Palms of the hands together. And you can stay here or just lift your head slightly to look to your thumbs with palms together through that V gap, lowering your head to the ground. Hugging the knees into the chest, and then supporting the legs if you need to bring both feet back down to the ground, knees are up to the ceiling, and palms are hands down alongside you. Pressing your feet into the ground, lifting your bottom in rolling bridge, raising your arms, they can be soft at the elbows, pressing your feet down, make sure your knees aren't splaying out, that almost someone feels that someone's holding them. Point forward, and then breathing out, lower your back and bottom down to the ground. Your hands will naturally follow. Once your bottom is on the ground, you can hug your knees into your chest, soles of the feet to the ceiling, palms together. Optionally, you can lift your head to look at your thumbs and breathing back again, head to the ground, hugging your knees into your chest. And then feet once more back down to the ground, and we'll do one more. Palms down, press your feet into the ground, lifting up, arms up, stretch behind you, breathing out, lower your bottom to the ground, lower your hands. Once your bottom's down, hug your knees into your chest, soles of the feet up to the ceiling, palms together. Lift up your head, look at your thumbs, and then breathing out, lower your head back down to the ground and hug your knees into your chest and just rock from side to side. If you feel like this, it's optional. You can hold your big toes with your second or third fingers underneath, your thumbs on top, and just open out into a V. rocking from side to side. If that's too much or your arm's not long enough, then just hold your shins. Just again, rocking from side to side. In that V, in this position, you'll feel the stretch, or I do it, on the inner part of the legs. And I often think that when you get supermodels who are looking absolutely gorgeous in their 50s and they are modelling and they're modelling their swimwear, the one part that can look slightly baggy and give their age away is that inner thigh look. It just doesn't get exercised, and this stretch is one of those movements that will just tighten up that area. It's a hard area to tighten, but this will target that area. Not that we're going to be in our swimsuits, but bikinis, but you never know, maybe later in the year. And then just hugging the knees back into the chest. Once more, just rocking from side to side. And then just supporting the legs underneath to place the feet back onto the ground. Knees are up to the ceiling. This time, just move your feet towards the edges of the mat to give yourself more space. Your hands can rest on the abdomen, or they can open up and out like an A or like a T. Just for the moment, just rest them on the abdomen. Just let both, and then alter if you want to, let both knees drop to the right. Your left hip will lift off the ground, and you can turn your head to the left, looking either along the mat, looking up to the ceiling, or your eyes can be open or closed. Just take an in and an out breath here. Engage your perineum and bring your lower abdominal muscles in slightly towards your spine, just to support your knees as they come upright. And breathing out, let both knees drop to the left, your right hip will lift, and you can turn your head to the right away from the direction of your knees. Your hands can stay on your abdomen, they can open out to the side, stretching out like a T, or they can go lower like an A, or you can bend your elbows and rest your hands on your waist. Or you can be like a baby, just raise your wrists above your backs of your hands above your head and stretch out that way. Bring both knees back to centre, and once more either side, using the hand position that felt most comfortable to you. So your knees go to the right, your head goes to the left, and hands wherever they feel comfortable. Again, this is coming into somatic movement. And then knees upright, and let both knees drop over to the other side. Hands wherever you want to. And then come back to the centre. And just take a moment to relax. You can either be in Shavasana or corpse pose with your legs stretched out along the ground, or you can have your knees bent. You can have your feet wider than hip width apart and your knees touch in constructive rest. You could have a bolster or cushion under your knees to just slightly soften your knees if you wanted to. If you have a lower back issue, but that's comfortable for you. But either way, just come to take a few moments to relax and let the movement that we've done settle back into the body. Start by becoming aware of the toes and just slightly tense your toes and then release and relax them. Tense your legs, tense your knees, and just release and relax. Tense your arms and your hands and then release and relax. Just lift your chest physically away from the mat and then just release your chest back down along the ground. just lengthening along your spine. Lift your shoulders consciously towards your ears and then consciously lower your shoulders away from your ears. And then turn your head gently to one side, to the right, doesn't matter. Taking an in and out breath here. Bring your head back to the centre and then just very gently turn your head in the opposite direction. Come back to the centre. Take a moment to have a thought for the day, for yourself or someone close to you, wishing them well wherever they are, or whatever your intention is. It could just be have a good rest of the day ahead. You've set the intention by thinking of it a couple of times, let it go, the intention is set. And then, taking a favourite colour of yours, like cotton wool, wrap yourself, or like an auric egg, in your favourite colour of cotton wool, protecting you for the day ahead. Only positive things can come in. And then cocooned and wrapped in your coloured cotton wool, just very gently begin to move your fingers and toes. Maybe move your head from side to side. Maybe hug one knee and then the other knee into the chest and just again rock one more time from side to side across the base of the spine. And however you choose to come up to a seated position, although you can stay where you are, you can come up gently. So classically, one would move to the right away from the heart and take time to come up. But come up however you want to. I'm going to come to a cross-legged position, just placing my hands on my knees to lengthen up through the body. And then just very gently bring the hands to the heart, bow your head down, acknowledging time for yourself today. Take a bow for yourself. And thank you everyone for joining me today.